In this video, we are going to export all of the vectors we have created for the top side of the cribbage board to a software program called Aspire version 9.5. In that software, we will create all the toolpaths for the CNC router to actually create the top side of our cribbage board. So to start with your Rhino file open, now that we have everything on its own layer in the right place, we're going to draw a selection box around this. And with just these items selected, we're going to go to our File menu and select Export Selected. And in this menu, we are going to select under the Save As Type pull-down menu, the AutoCAD Drawing Exchange.dxf file type. And I will name my file Cribbage Board Top Side Vectors. And I'll save that file. You're going to say OK to any dialog boxes that pop up. And then you're going to open up the Aspire, Vectric Aspire software program that you will have downloaded and installed on your laptop. Once you open this up, we're going to click on this in the left-hand side that says Create a New File. And now we have to give this some information. We're going to be doing a single-sided. We're going to do a double-sided, but we're going to set this up as two single-sided cuts. We're going to set up our job size, and we're going to set up our job size as 14 inches wide by 14 inches tall, with a thickness of 1 inch. We are going to zero our Z from the top of the surface, and we are going to set our zero at the center of our object. And we'll press OK. At this point, we're going to go to the File menu. We're going to import vectors, and we're going to find the cribbage board topside vectors file that we just exported. And I'm going to press Open. And here are all the files, the vectors, that we have created in Rhino, now installed on Aspire. At this point, we are going to set up a number of toolpaths. So this left-hand side has a drawing sidebar. If I click on this blue arrow right here, I can transition over to a sidebar on the right side, which is my Toolpath sidebar. So we're going to do a number of toolpaths here. The first one is we're going to set this top side up, the outside vector, to do a profile toolpath, which means it's going to cut this out. So I'm going to click on this profile toolpath. I'm going to set my cut depth to 1.1 inches. And I am going to select my tool, a 1/4 inch end mill. I'm going to select my pass depth to 0.125 inches, my spindle speed to 12,000, and I'm going to select inches per second. My feed rate is how fast my bit moves in the X and Y direction, and my plunge rate is how fast it moves in the Z. So I'm going to set those values to 3 and 2 and press OK. I'm going to say down here that I want the bit to pass on the outside of the line. And I need to add some tabs. I'm going to click this box right here. I'm going to have a length of 0.5. And I'm going to set my thickness to 0.25, a 1/4 inch. And I'm going to click on Edit Tabs. At this point, I can come out and I can click. And I can add tabs, which I'm going to do at these points on my circle, and I'll press Close. And you'll see what the tabs are in just a second. I'm going to then label this Profile, 0.25 end mill, top side cribbage. And I'm going to calculate the toolpath. You're going to get a warning that's going to say that it's going to cut through your material, which is just fine because that is what we want it to do. And I'll press OK. At this point, I can select my toolpath and say Preview Selected Toolpath. And you'll see that it is going to cut through that circle and leave 4 tabs so that the circle does not fly off the table after it's done being cut. And I will click on Close. At this point, I can come over here and click on my 2D View tab and come back. Now I'm going to select my vectors for my design. And so I'm going to select all of these. Now if I type my G key, they will group together. And these, I'm going to come over and V-carve. So I'm going to select this V-carve option right here. I'm going to do a start depth of 0. And for my flat depth, I'm going to put in 0.15 inches. For my tool, I'm going to select a V-bit, a 90-degree 0.5 inch V-bit. Again, I'm going to select this inches per second, 3 and 2. And I'll press OK. I'll type a name for this as Cribbage board top V-carve logo 0.5 90. I always like to put the bit that I'm using in the name of the toolpath. And I'll calculate that toolpath. I'm going to now preview all the toolpaths, and you'll see that I have my design carved out. And I'm going to close that and come back. Now I'm going to select these vectors that we are going to pocket to fill with epoxy. So I'm going to come to my pocket toolpath right here. I'm going to give them a depth again of 0.15. I'm going to select a 1/4 inch end mill. Say OK. I will click on this box that says ramp my plunge moves by 1 inch. And I'm going to call these epoxy inlay circles pocket 0.25 end mill. Calculate. And now I can preview all of the toolpaths. And you'll see I've got those rings now pocketed out. So all that I have left are the circles for the pegs. So at this point, I'm going to select these circles. In order to be able to select all of these circles for the peg holes, I'm going to come up to my Layers tab. I'm going to turn off my blue layer. I'm going to turn off my default layer, and now all that's left are these peg holes. So now I can draw a selection box around these. Again, if I type the G key on my keyboard, these will all become grouped, and I can click off and click back on, and they're all one object. So now back in my toolpaths, I am going to pocket these. And we're going to cut these to a depth of 0.5 inches, a 1/2 inch. We're going to use a 1/16 inch end mill, 0.125 inch end mill. And we will set our inches per second to 3 and 2. And press OK. Click the ramp plunge moves. I'm going to type in a name of peg holes, pocket 0.125 inch end mill, and calculate. And now I will preview all, and you will see we have all of our peg holes created. So we have set up a profile cut along the outside. We have set up a V-carve of our logo design. We've set up a pocket of our 2 epoxy stripes. And we have cut all of the peg holes with a pocket cut with a 1/16 inch end mill. At this point, you're going to come and save your file as cribbage for top and save that file. Next, we will move on to the bottom side of your cribbage board.